My name is Sarah, and I'm 28 years old. I live in a small town just outside the city, where life is simple, quiet, and peaceful. Growing up, my family was everything to me. I had two older brothers, and our parents were loving but strict. I always tried to follow the rules, to keep everything in order, and to do what was expected of me. Right now, my life isn't exactly what I thought it would be. I've been working at a local cafe for the past 3 years. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills, and I get to meet new people every day. I have a few good friends, but I've always been a bit shy when it comes to love. I guess I've always been more focused on my career and family, thinking that romance would come later. I never expected to be in the situation I'm in now, and I never thought a person I trusted so much could turn my life upside down. This is the story of how I didn't know he was married. It all started last spring. It was a warm Saturday afternoon, and I was working my usual shift at the cafe. I had just finished serving a customer when he walked in. He was tall, with dark hair and a charming smile. I noticed him right away. He looked around the cafe as if searching for someone, and when his eyes met mine, he gave me a polite smile. "Hi," he said, his voice smooth and calm. "Can I get a coffee to go?" "Of course," I replied, feeling a little nervous. I had seen many regular customers, but something about him was different. Maybe it was the way he spoke, or maybe it was just his presence. He didn't look like anyone I knew, but somehow, he felt familiar. As I prepared his coffee, we started talking. He introduced himself as Jack, a businessman who had just moved to town. He was in his early 30s, and from the way he spoke about his work, he seemed successful. He was polite, funny, and easy to talk to. We exchanged small talk for a few minutes, and before he left, he mentioned that he'd like to see me again. "I'm new here," he said with a smile. "Maybe you could show me around the town sometime." I was flattered. I had been on a few dates before, but none of them felt like this. I agreed, and we exchanged numbers. Little did I know, this innocent encounter would be the beginning of a whirlwind that would change my life forever. Over the next few weeks, Jack and I saw each other several times. We went on a few dates, mostly dinners and walks around the town. He was everything I had been looking for in a partner, kind, funny, and so easy to be around. We had so much in common. I started to believe that I had finally met someone who understood me. But something didn't feel quite right. There were little things that seemed off. Jack was always busy, always in a rush. Sometimes, he wouldn't answer his phone for hours, and when I asked him why, he'd always have a good excuse. "Work's been crazy," or "I've been traveling for business." I didn't think much of it at first. I trusted him, and after all, we had only known each other for a short time. One day, Jack invited me over to his house. It was a nice place, bigger than I expected for someone who was just starting out in town. The furniture was simple but elegant. There were family photos on the walls, but they all seemed to feature Jack and another woman. I didn't think anything of it, assuming they were old pictures of friends or relatives. But as time passed, I started noticing more and more things that didn't add up. Jack would often mention a woman's name, Emily, and how much she meant to him. At first, I thought she might be his sister or a close friend. But then one evening, as we were having dinner, he said something that stopped me cold. "She's been really understanding lately," Jack said, absent-mindedly stirring his coffee. "It's tough with the kids and everything, but she's always there for me." "Wait," I said, my voice trembling. "Did you say kids?" Jack looked up at me, his face a little pale. "Yeah, my kids." I felt a knot form in my stomach. "But I thought you didn't have any kids." He hesitated for a moment, his expression shifting. "Well, I do. 2 of them. From my marriage." My heart dropped. You're married. Jack looked away, clearly uncomfortable. I didn't want to tell you this way. I've been meaning to, but I didn't know how. I felt my world shatter. The man I had been falling for, the one who seemed so perfect, had been hiding such an important part of his life from me. I wanted to scream, to cry, but I just sat there, frozen. I'm sorry, Sarah. I didn't want to hurt you, Jack said, his voice filled with regret. I've been separated from my wife for a while now. We've been living apart for months, but we're not divorced yet. Over the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about what Jack had told me. I didn't know if I could trust him anymore. I wanted to believe him, but the doubt kept creeping in. The next time I saw Jack, I decided to confront him. I need to know everything, I said, my voice steady but filled with pain. If we're going to continue this, I need the truth. Jack's face darkened, and he sighed. Sarah, I'm still legally married, yes. But I swear, things have been over with her for a long time. We've been living separate lives for months. She knows about me and you, and she's okay with it. I felt a rush of anger. How could she be okay with it? You've been lying to both of us. How can I trust you now? I didn't want to hurt you, Jack said quietly. I really care about you. I was just trying to protect you from all the mess. I was speechless. I didn't know what to believe. The whole situation felt like a nightmare. But then, just when I thought things couldn't get worse, I received an unexpected phone call. It was from a woman who introduced herself as Emily. I'm Jack's wife, she said, her voice shaking with emotion. I know about you, Sarah. And I need you to understand something. Jack isn't the man you think he is. The line went dead before I could ask any questions. My head was spinning. Was Emily telling the truth? Was Jack really still married, or had he been using me this whole time? That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing. I felt completely lost. I had trusted Jack, opened up to him in a way I hadn't with anyone before. And now, everything felt like a lie. I cried for what felt like hours. I felt like such a fool. How could I have been so blind? How could I have let someone in so deeply without knowing the full story? I felt embarrassed and betrayed. But most of all, I felt heartbroken. Jack had made me believe that we had something special, that we had a future together. And now, I didn't know what to think. The next morning, I called my best friend, Lisa. She had always been there for me, and I needed her advice more than ever. When I told her what had happened, she was shocked. You've got to be kidding me, Lisa said, her voice full of disbelief. You had no idea he was married. Sarah, that's crazy. You deserve someone who's honest with you from the start. I knew she was right. But the hardest part was knowing how much this had affected my family. I didn't want to disappoint them, especially my parents. They had always taught me to be careful with relationships, to take things slow. But I had ignored their advice and had trusted Jack without asking the right questions. Now, I didn't know how to face them. I didn't know what would happen next. Jack continued to call me, apologizing for everything, saying he wanted to make things right. But I couldn't bring myself to trust him again. The damage had been done. As time passed, I moved on. Slowly, I began to heal, but a part of me still wondered if I had made the right decision. Was Jack really the bad guy here? Or had I just been too naive? I still don't have all the answers. Sometimes, I think about him, and I wonder what would have happened if I had given him another chance. But I also know that I need someone who will be open and honest with me from the very beginning. If you've ever found yourself in a situation like mine, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever been lied to in a relationship? How did you handle it? Please leave a comment below, like this video if you can relate, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like mine. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for listening to my story, and take care of yourselves.